I think it's really important because sometimes the partner will read like, RaShauna went to college here and played these sports and this is what she did. But then when they turn it over to you, I think one of the most important things you could do right away is tell us why you're here, what brought you here. So yes. A lot of times the trainers will think like, well, obviously all my amazing sports background is the reason I'm here. But the coaches in the room want to know, like, obviously you could be doing other things. Why do you think it's so important that you're bringing this PCA message to us now? So awesome. That doesn't have to be the first sentence out of your mouth, but somehow to work that into the intro in a story or something that hit you or something you've learned, or I think that's a really awesome way to connect the audience to what you're doing.
Okay. Got it.
All right. So Ruben's going to jump in. When he does, just assume he's just another person jumping in. Christy, I don't know that you've ever done a hangout before like this. Have you?
I haven't. No.
Okay. So we are the coaches in the room. Okay. So
I watched them, but.
Yeah. So RaShauna, if you want to ask us a question, if you want to, like, even you can pretend that we're a room of 30 coaches or 40 coaches, just tell us what you would do. Obviously, I mean, some people say, get up, sit up, clap your hands, sit down. Whatever you want to do is fine. But if it's not like, if this is a funky way to do it, just say, hey, what I'd have you do right now is get in groups of 3 or whatever, move to the left side of the room.
Gotcha.
So, but if you ask us a question, Christy and I and Ruben are going to answer it as if we were coaches in a workshop.
Okay. Awesome.
So, all right.
Cool.
So have fun.
Ready.
All right. We're here whenever you're ready.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm assuming people are walking in the room. The sign in for today's workshop is up there.
Yep.
So I would, before I start, and I'm really excited to be here on behalf of Positive Coaching Alliance today, but I've got this up here. So I want to give you guys some homework right away. I know how much you guys love homework. So I want to start with that so that we can basically go uphill from there. So if you look at the screen right now, there's a number up there. If you can text that number and include that information that's below, we're going to send you some information following this workshop and then get some feedback from you guys. So I just want to make sure you guys do that for me. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to fill that out. Give them 30 seconds.
Yep.
And then start from there. So obviously I'm here from Positive Coaching Alliance. Really, really excited to be here. Who is Positive Coaching Alliance, right? Like, why are we here? Why are we doing the work that we're doing? So basically, we do live workshops. We provide resources for coaches to basically just help make better athletes, better people, and just make the game better for everybody participating. And so that's why I'm here. Super excited, like I said, to kind of get started with you guys today. So what I want to start off with, right, is first telling you, like, why am I the person that's standing here in front of you? You know, I know you guys are super busy. I know it's almost dinner time. So, like, getting ready for a meal. But so I am the youth programs director for the Miami Dolphins, and I have coached at the high school level, at the college level. Basketball was my sport, but I was like that kid that grew up as a tomboy playing anything. And so I have done my share of being around athletes and being an athlete, which is why I am so absolutely incredibly blessed to be here on behalf of Positive Coaching Alliance. So before we do that, though, I want to kind of get you guys involved, and I want to make sure that even though we're getting ready for dinner, that I make you a little bit active. So I'm going to ask that you guys get up. We're going to make a big line. By the way, I'm assuming there's like 30-ish coaches in this room.
Okay, perfect.
I'm going to ask you guys to get up, and I want you guys to line up by this town that you're from in alphabetical order. So if you're from Moline, you should go before Zimbabwe at the end of the line. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to see if you guys can work together and organize this for me. So ready, go. So I'm going to give them 2 minutes. They'll line up. I'll just ask random people, like, what town are you from? All right, so we got the B, so we're good there. Ask this person, all right, so we're N, so we're in order somewhat. And then ask the last person, and then I would say to them, so what does this have to do with positive coaching? Absolutely nothing. I just really wanted you guys to get up, get active, make sure that you're paying attention, because I know it's warm in this room. So I wanted to make sure. But now what I want you to do as we get into it is take the person right next to you. So I want you guys to take 2 minutes and just talk to each other about the most memorable coach you had. So good memory, bad memory, in between. Let them know what was the most memorable thing about this coach too. So go. I'll give them 2 minutes for that. They'll talk.
Yep.
And I would say, okay, do I have a volunteer, somebody who wants to tell me what their partner said? So
I'll share. Yeah, I'll share. So my partner was Ruben, and he talked about a coach that he had named Sal Rodriguez. And Sal was his coach at the Boys and Girls Club when he was growing up as a kid. And Sal was just a great role model. He just really got the kids involved. Ruben found his passion and his love for sports then, and he just really made him feel valuable.
Awesome. So I like what Ruben said about valuable, right? So his coach made him feel valuable. He said he made him continue to play. He said he made the experience wonderful. So that's what we wanted. Does anybody have a bad memory? Anybody? Ruben, do you have a bad memory? Did somebody tell you something bad?
Well, I wasn't particularly, I don't have great memories about my junior college volleyball coach. We didn't look up to him. We didn't think he was a very good role model for us. Yeah.
Awesome. So role model, right? That's that word that keeps coming in with coaches, right? So we want the kind of people that our student athletes want to emulate. Our student athletes want to look at us and say, oh, that's how when I become to that adult age, right? That's how I want to be. And so that's important. But we can also have negative experience with coaches. So while we're standing here, let's talk about what does positive coaching mean? Like when you hear positive coaching, what does that phrase mean to you?
Encouraging the kids.
Encouraging. That's awesome. I'm assuming that you're going to mean positive encouragement, right? That's negative encouragement. Awesome.
I'm going to say fun. I think as soon as I think of a positive coach, I'm thinking of all the coaches I ever had that were really a lot of fun.
Awesome, right? Like, don't be that coach that's 100% in it. You're coaching 8-year-olds and you're like talking about their form all day long and they never get to like do something fun at soccer practice, right? Nobody wants to be that guy. Awesome. Do I have one more volunteer for a word for positive?
Yeah, I would say a coach that cares about you as a person, not just as an athlete.
Awesome. Caring, right? So like be that coach that walks up to a kid and says, how was school today? What happened in your class today? If you know they're struggling in science, say, how did your science test go? You know, be into the things that they're into and try to connect with them on their level. So I think that's right. So what we say is it's creating an atmosphere that really supports the best possible performance, right? So notice in that definition, we didn't say it's winning and losing. We're talking about performance here. Am I getting the absolute best out of my kids that I can get? So that's important. So now we're going to talk about the power of positive. And so for this, and Kelly, I think because you have it open, I'm going to use you as my person.
Sure. Yeah.
So this first quote that's up here from Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, can you read that blue line for me, that top one?
Sure. It says negativity doesn't work as well as positivity.
Exactly. And so that's what Positive Coaching Alliance believes, right? That negativity doesn't work as well as positivity. What that means is when you tell a kid, hey, what? Goodness gracious, I told you to sprint to the base. You didn't sprint to the base, right? That's that negative energy. So now the kid's holding on to that as opposed to saying something positive. Hey, I know you didn't make it. I know you got tagged out. That's okay. I like how hard you ran to the base. I like that you high-fived your teammates. I like that you high-fived your teammate that maybe didn't make it to first, you know? So let's be focused on the positive attributes so that we can continue those ones moving forward. And then another thing is it's contagious, right? If I would have came in here today and said, oh, hey, guys, I'm here, Positive Coaching Alliance. I don't know. Your organization told me you guys needed it because apparently you suck. So we're here to, like, really make you guys better. I don't really know. That's contagious, right? Nobody wants to sit through that. I got you guys standing, right? I'm talking loud. And so that's contagious. So what I want you to do right now is we're going to spread this throughout the room. So what I want to do is we're going to start on the ends, and I want you to high five the person next to you. We're going to go all the way to the middle, and that person's going to give me the last high five in the middle, all right? So
yep.
Go. I'm going to high five the last person. Hopefully they're like super mobile. I'm like, okay, the high five felt really good. Do we want to like shoulder bump? Like, I'm feeling great about this. Hopefully that gets a couple laughs in the room. And then I would say, but see how that energy was contagious, right? All it took was the high five that started with the 4 people on the end. And now look at us. We're in the middle. We're paying attention and we're here. So that's why we're focused on positivity. And basically, there's just more benefits to a positive approach. That's what we're going to talk about today, and we'll get more into that in detail. I think the important thing is, right, people always say, well, I get it, right, from a basic standpoint. I get being positive, but, like, where's the proof in the pudding? All I hear about is the winners. Well, we've got all of these coaches on our board and part of our network, coaches that are successful on the court, on the field, and in life that have said, we agree. Every time I use some positive energy, I get the best out of my players. So where the proof is in the pudding for us, we're really making sure that we go boots on the ground and figure out how this is working and how it's being successful. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys to sit down. Thank you for participating. I'm asking you guys to sit down, so I'll let them sit, give them a minute or so. Okay, so I think in order to understand how positivity works, we're going to have to understand how negativity, right? What does that do? So when we talked about if I were to come in the room and I said, oh, you guys suck, So the Boys and Girls Club asked me to come here because you guys are awful coaches. What does that immediately make you think?
I'm thinking I'm blaming other people. I'm thinking like, all right, what did he do? I'm pretty good. So
Right?
Ruben must be screwing this up.
Yeah, you're doing the finger point and you're like looking at Tom next to you and you're like, well, yeah, Tom does suck. I mean, he's cool, right? Anybody else?
Well, I would think that you don't respect me. You don't appreciate me.
For sure.
You might not even really know me.
Awesome.
Very well.
Right? You don't feel valued, and I've already judged you coming into the room. I'm like, oh, this guy is awful. I know where my kids won't be playing this year, right? So that puts that feeling inside of you like, geez, I don't even know this person. She's already judging me. But what it's also doing, right, is you're not focused on what I'm getting ready to give you. You can't receive any of this information because you're distracted by the negative energy I just put in the room. So that's what negativity does. That's what we don't want to do with kids. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm hoping I get the right answer. This is like the best, easiest test you've ever done. See, I've already given you homework. Now I'm making you take tests. I'm basically putting you back in college all over again. So I should probably be collecting about $40,000 at this point from you guys for tuition, but I'll wait to get my check at the end. So first question. Do you agree positivity works better than negativity? Good. We're 30 for 30. Everybody's getting a passing grade in my class. I like it. All right. Do we agree negativity distracts from the task?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. 2 for 2. It looks like I got hundreds all around. I don't know that I'll be a tenured professor at this rate, just passing everybody, but here we are. All right. So the second question that's a little bit deeper that I want us to talk about is why is there so much negativity in sports? Like, why did we get here that we even need an organization called Positive Coaching Alliance? Does anybody want to give me one reason why they think there's so much negativity in sports?
I'm not really, I had an obnoxious game. I coach high school lacrosse. Last night was the most obnoxious parents I've ever seen. True story in my entire life. 3 players got kicked out of the game in the second half from the other team, and 2 parents were asked to leave my field. And I've never in all my years of coaching had that happen. And I mean, my first thought was they're a bunch of idiots. Like, it's just complete ignorance. Like, how could these people be so stupid and think that screaming at this official who's throwing kids out of the game, throwing parents out of the game left and right, and they kept going. Right. So I just kept thinking, like, I think they were just not smart people.
Right.
And I mean, really, like, they just didn't know. I mean, I've been doing this, just between you and me, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never seen parents like this ever. And I was like, okay, one technical, okay, you got it. Throw a girl out, you got it. They kept going. And I'm thinking, what message have they not gotten? Like, it was just blowing my mind. So my answer is stupidity. Complete stupidity.
Stupidity. So we're going to go stupidity. We're going to go parents, right? The passion. Let's call it passion of parents.
Okay, that's nicer. That's a nicer way to put it.
Positive, passionate parents whose words may not always be positive.
There you go. That's better.
That's a good one. Anybody else? So much negativity in sports?
Well, I would say a lack of, a lack of self-control. Sports are, there's passion, there's emotion. Mm-hmm. We want to win, and and when 2 teams are playing, unless it's a sport where there can be a tie, only one team's going to win. And I guess if it's a tie, neither team wins. So there's some built-in frustration that requires maturity and self-control that. Awesome. Sometimes the kids have, but the adults don't always have it.
Awesome. I like that response too, because you're kind of talking about 2 things there, right? So we're talking about self-control, right? That's that kid that like shoots the ball, it misses, and he's like, oh man, it's my teammate's fault. He didn't pass me the ball, right? There's like that. He doesn't have any self-control over what he's saying, how he's acting, how he's reacting to his teammates. But then the other thing that you're kind of talking about, like from the coach side, right? There's no self-control from the coach side. And then that kind of the third thing really is winning, right? Winning kind of can bring out some negative things in people when there's a win at all cost mentality, when you've kind of let go of everything else and all we care about is winning. And so I think that's what we see. I think social media, I think just media in general is kind of helping to perpetuate that message because we celebrate the superstar. right? There's a reason why there's LeBron sneakers. There's a reason why there's Steph Curry sneakers, you know, because that's what we're celebrating the guys that win the championships. Maybe not the guys that are high-fiving their teammates that may not get in as much. Those are the people that are high profile for us as a society. So I think there's a little bit of that going on as well. So thank you guys for your responses. So that's kind of why PCA is here. That's our vision, right? We want to take the best practices of great coaches and develop them. We want to make better athletes, better people. And that's kind of what we talked about there. So what I want to say kind of before we get into like the meat and potatoes of how to be a positive coach, right? Because it sounds easy until you're getting blown out by 20 points. The parents are yelling, the officials can't get a call right, it's hot, like all these factors, right? It sounds super easy until we get there. So we're going to give you guys some resources and some tools to kind of move forward. But I want you to know that coming out of this workshop, we're not just dropping in, giving you all this information, then running away and saying, hey, they're great, we're good. We're actually going to give you support moving forward. So you have this book, and I don't have the book on me, so I left it in my office. I apologize. We're going to pretend I have it. This book called The Power of Double Goal Coaching. And this is kind of our resource. So this is our major resource that we're going to use to give you some tools. So like I said, ongoing support. So use the book. We do have the weekly coach talking points that you can go on, take a look at those. And then we do have our development zone. So if you want to go on there, and the website is listed up here. If you guys want to jot that down, then you can go there and find some support. So I want to make sure you know that it doesn't stop here. All right. So we talked a little bit about experiences, right? So what makes an experience great for a kid? Kelly, you said fun, right?
Yep.
You want to have a good time. What else? So when a kid goes home, right? Because we're in the business of making sure the kids are good so we don't have to hear the parents later. What do we want the kids to say to their parents in the car ride home?
That they learned something new.
They learned. All right, so let's have fun. And I learned something.
Well, when I think back when I was a kid and playing, it was fun to put on a uniform and, you know, experience sports and team from that standpoint. Almost, you know, I remember my friends and I, we pretend we were professional athletes and stuff. And when you put on that uniform, there's a little bit of that. And the other thing I remember, I really liked the excitement of the games and the competition and trying to win. Sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't. But I liked the excitement of competition.
Awesome. That's fun, right? Like the team
was fun for me.
Yeah. The team part of it is huge, right? So kids, you want to go home, they want to feel like they made a friend. When you're 9 or 10, you don't want to go home and say, I spent an hour doing this thing with a bunch of kids that I don't even know, that I would never want to hang out with again, right? So we want to make sure that our athletes, when they feel connected to their teammates, but they also feel connected to us. Like we want them to feel like, man, I really enjoy playing for my coach. I really feel like I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm getting better every time I go to practice. And then we want them to feel pride when they do things that really honor the game and have integrity. So like, you know, if they're honest and say, oh no, I kicked it out of bounds, it's the other team's ball, even though the ref may have gotten it wrong. You know, we want kids that are those type of kids, and those are the experiences that we want. So if we get that, right? So we get these kids that are great to their teammates. They're a great kid to coach. They love us, right? We got to be loved a little bit. Mm-hmm. They believe they can improve and they're acting with integrity. What do we think happens with those kind of kids?
I think they're going to come back and want to play next year, and they're going to play hard when they're there.
Exactly. That's it. We need kids to keep playing, right? We want them to come back year over year. We want them to say, oh, of course, that's what I want to do. It helps us too. When the Boys and Girls Club, we got 600 kids signed up, not 500. So, you know, when we have those experiences and we're getting kids active, that's our ultimate goal. And so how we do that is through, again, when we say connected, so when we're talking about connecting to your teammates, connecting to your coaches, we're talking about their emotional tank, and we'll get into that a little bit. We're talking about improvement. We're talking about our Elm Tree of Mastery, and we'll talk about what that is. And then integrity, that's just honoring the game. So we'll go into those more in detail. I just wanted to make sure that I explained a little bit about where we're headed with that content. And then, so this one I did have a question about.
Yeah.
Next slide, the understanding your identity. Because this is video.
Yep.
So how do people normally introduce this? This was the only thing I kind of like struggled with practice.
Yeah. No, not a problem at all. So we put videos in there for two reasons. Number one, it's great to hear somebody else's voice. So it's not just you talking. You get a little credibility by having Herm Edwards be on this video. So you can introduce it as saying, I'd love for you to hear from one of our National Advisory Board members, Herm Edwards, head coach of Arizona State. And he talks a little bit about your legacy as a coach. So, blah, blah, blah. You can hear from him and play it. You can also pose a question. Sometimes, like Herm Edwards, because when I saw the video the first time, I was like, wow, I never thought about 30 years from now, how am I going to be remembered? So, you can make it more like dramatic. Like, he's going to give you something to think about that might change the way you coach today. So that's more of like the dramatic way to put it, however you feel when you watch that video, however you feel that you'll be able to suck the coaches in. And then I would just let it play, because then the follow-up is the question. The next slide is, how do you want to be remembered? So.
Awesome. So I would probably do the first.
There you go. If you want to practice it, go ahead. Like, say what you would say just to get it, feel free.
Yes. Okay. So as we talk about what kind of coaches we want to be and kind of getting all those principles together, I want to play this video real quick. It's just about your legacy. And this is Herm Williams, again, former NFL head coach, just absolute great. So let's listen to that. Blah, blah, blah. It played. Wonderful. There's applause. Okay, so what do you think what do you want your legacy to be? So we hear how Herm's explaining it. What do you want your kids to walk away with? So when your players are sitting in their own Positive Coaching Alliance workshop 20 years from now, what do you want them to say about you?
I enjoyed playing for Coach Rubin, and I got a lot out of the experience.
Awesome. If nothing else, Coach Rubin, I'll play for you.
I want them to say that they looked at me as a friend and a mentor, somebody that they could come to, and I really cared about them.
Awesome. I think that's phenomenal. And in doing that, again, remember, we're not talking about just the wins and losses now. We're talking about all the other intangible things that are going along with coaching. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what we're striving for when we say double goal coach. We're striving to win. Like, winning is a part of it, right? Like, we want to win some games. That would be fun as well. But we also want to teach life lessons. So it's twofold for us as an organization for Positive Coaching Alliance. And so that's really what we're going to try to do through the tools that I'm getting ready to explain to you guys.
All right.
Cool.
Well done.
Thank you.
That was fun. The only other thing, and you're fine because you went through it, but the only other thing, the last part of the introduction, is that double goal coach model where it's the winning and the life lessons coming together.
Gotcha.
You hit that, but that's usually just how we kind of lead into the first principle, because we're going to talk about, you're all going to be double goal coaches. We're going to focus on winning. That's sometimes where, and you already said it earlier, that's where I blow the myth of like, we are about winning. We are about competing. We want you guys to play at your best. So, and then it just transitions in.
Okay.
All good. Thanks. How'd you feel doing that?
Good.
We did too.
Right?
Yeah.
Decent.
Now, I always say, if I can feel your energy through a computer screen, you're going to blow it away when you're in front of real coaches, because it's just, I could just feel your energy. You're having fun. It is contagious. And that's, and that is like half the battle. You just seem very comfortable in your own skin. You're yourself. You're talking about things you're comfortable with. And you're going to connect. You're going to connect to coaches.
Awesome.
I felt like it was really about your passion, not about the material. And I think that's what will stick with people. So I have a lot of things I love and some suggestions for you. But I'd love to hear from Christy, since she's never seen you, RaShauna, at a workshop. What I'd like to do, Christy, is just say, what's something that stuck out for you that you really liked that RaShauna did? And then what is a suggestion or something that you might give her as a comment as she moves and transitions to doing this live in front of real coaches?
Sure.
You want to tell her who you are first real quick? I forgot. I should have had you introduce yourself. I'm sorry at the beginning. She's probably like, who are you?
Yeah. So RaShauna, I'm the out of territory partnership manager. So I'm moving to South Florida. I'll be managing the partnerships down there until we get kind of a full staff on board.
Awesome.
So any partners that we sign, if you're assigned to their workshops, we'll communicate, and our partner support manager will communicate with you about kind of the specifics around that particular school or organization.
Awesome.
So you kind of know what to expect going into the workshop. Yeah, just to reiterate what Kelly said, your energy is just awesome. You can just feel it through the computer for sure, and you can feel your passion. And I think you bring a lot of credibility through your experiences already as an athlete and as a coach. But I really liked the way that you kind of used humor as well. I like to laugh. I think, you know, we're talking about positive coaching, but I think it's important to kind of keep people engaged that way and keep them on their toes. So I thought that was great. And yeah, suggestions. I mean, I really felt like you did a great job. I think it's probably just getting really comfortable with the content and continuing to kind of just make it your style. That the content is transferable to all different kinds of people, but I think the ones that make it personal to themselves are that's going to be felt, you know, through the coaches in the room, and they'll be able to kind of relate with you on that way too. So nothing, not necessarily a criticism by any means. I think it's just repetition and practice, but you did a great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christy.
I'm sure we'll see a lot of each other. I think
I'd like to make it to Miami. So if I do, we'll definitely be in touch. So
yeah, every partner that we have is like, oh, you're in Miami, we should do a site visit. I'm like,
yeah.
Christy, where do you live? Do you live in San Francisco?
I'm just traveling right now, actually. So I'm in Hawaii at the moment. But
oh wow. Well, oh my gosh, what time is it?
It's 5:30, but I wake up. I start work at 4:30 so that I can get to our East Coast partners. So yeah,
oh my goodness.
Zone. So it's not early for me. I'm used to it. So yeah,
very bright and bushy tailed for 5:30.
No kidding.
I'm too chipper. I'm like, no, I start work at, you know, I'm up at 4, ready to go at 4:30. So yeah, we're good.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for joining in.
Of course, happy to be here.
Ruben?
Yeah, I enjoyed it also. RaShauna, the words I wrote down as you were going, I wrote down poise, confidence, energy, comfort, and fun. I think Christy alluded to that with how you bring in humor. Yeah, I liked your I liked the little activity right at the beginning to get us up and moving. You know, and I hadn't heard that one line up in order of your birthplace. And I can see as I get in line and position myself talking to the people next to me. Oh, you're from Eugene. I've never been, you know. So I like that. When you get to the part about when you do the part about what does positive coaching mean to you, you know, and usually you're going to get the kind of responses we gave. You know, it's about encouraging. It's about being a good role model, and that's what we expect. And then when you bring up the next bullet point, it's about creating an atmosphere that supports the best possible performance. We're going, you guys are right. It is about those things, but it is also about performance and competition. As an organization, we think this is the best way to get your team to play well and win games.
Yeah.
And you know, we don't shy away. I don't shy away from using the word winning and trying to win. Different than win at all cost.
Yeah.
Right. But at PCA, we believe in competition and we embrace it. And what we're going to talk about, what we're going to explore together in this workshop, it's also about performing well, striving to win. Okay. So I think that can be you can hit that point stronger.
Okay.
Okay. And then Kelly, just one more thing.
Sure.
You know, I think one of the challenges with this opening for all of us is to keep it streamlined enough, RaShauna, you know, and to hit the main points that you want to hit, keep it interactive. Don't go into lecture mode, which you absolutely handled very well. But not save some of the details for later when you get into the principles. And so when I think about this opening, for me, there's 3 main things I'm trying to cover in the opening.
Okay.
One is, you know, get the folks to think about and hopefully agree that positivity works better than negativity.
Okay.
We have a bunch of slides about that. Quite honestly, I think you can do that in 60 seconds without any slides, you know, but the way the deck is, and this is the tool we provide you, you know, so positivity works better than negativity. 2 is kids have certain needs, and the principles of positive coaching are designed to meet those needs.
Okay.
Okay, and then finally, the double goal coach model, I think, is a very important part of the opening, that they understand what we mean by double goal coach. It means you try to win. It means you use sports to teach life lessons. So whatever else I do around that, whatever else you do around that, how you use the slides, don't use the slides. I think if you hit those 3 key points, you've done a good workshop opening, and now they're ready to explore the principles with you.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I am in agreement too. I loved it. RaShauna, I would send you out tomorrow. I mean, really, I think you've got everything. You've got all the pieces. It's just reps. It's like anything else. You just need to practice it more, get more comfortable with it. But I love the way you weren't married to the slides. And I wrote that down. I thought it was great. Even with the quote, too many new trainers get so locked into slides, and it's really a visual. It's literally for visual learners. We want you to just keep moving and shaking and going. The other thing that I might suggest, and this is a suggestion someone gave me years ago, and it became really powerful for me. When you're a super high energy person, sometimes if you bring down the energy level, it creates a really good impact. So like later on in the workshop, if you're trying to really make an emphasis and you get like quiet and slower, it's like people lean in because they're like, wow, what's she so just a little tool that's really helpful too.
Awesome.
I love Line Up by Town. I love anything you can do to get them up and moving right away and interacting with each other, I think is huge. So I really like that too. The one thing that I'd love to see, you had us talk about our most memorable coach. I want to hear about yours. So in that 20 minutes, I didn't hear anything about you. And one of the things right away that we do know is that coaches that can connect to the facilitator in front of the room are also going to have more buy-in. So I want to hear, did you have a memorable coach? Who was your worst coach? Who was your best coach? Were you that awful, terrible, win at all cost coach at one point and you realize this isn't working? You know, whatever your story is, I think it's really important in the intro to throw a piece of that in, especially if you're asking us to share. It's nice for you to model that and kind of share where you're coming from too. So that would be my one suggestion, add in a personal story. I liked your phrasing that you did. Like, I like the way when we gave answers, you were like, yep, you kind of summarized it real quickly. Like, yep, you said fun, good, caring, good, supportive. Like, I think that's a good way to value what we're saying, but not repeating everything we're saying. So you did a really nice job with that. Obviously, I can tell you're used to talking in front of people, which was great. Let me see. Oh, the only part that I think you went a little bit long on was the meaningful athlete experience that talks about the connection, improving, and integrity. Because as Ruben said, we're going to get to that. This is like the trailer for the movie. And I think overall, you did that introduction in like 18 minutes. So the timing was fine. But if you're going to add in a story and you're going to add in a little bit of the partner sharing, there's only 3 of us here. When you do sharing and you do the high five line, all that stuff, that's going to take up time. So it's going to, I mean, it's amazing. Some people have gotten back to me after their first workshop and they're like, oh my gosh, I went 32 minutes on the introduction. And I said, yeah, because when you do it as a demo, you get 2 answers. When you do it in a room full of people and they're up and they're sitting and they're moving, and you know, it takes some time. So, but overall, I'm excited.
And I was like, I don't know how much of it to like hit on, you know? So that's a good note to know that like, you don't have to be exactly married to it, that you can kind of just hit it and keep moving. So
yeah. I mean, as you said, this introduction is to get people to, you know, want to hear what you're going to do next. And you even said, like, we're going to get to this principle. We're going to get to how you're going to do this in a minute. This is just kind of a wet their whistle. And, you know, we are in agreement that we do also, after doing this workshop for 2 years or 2.5 years, we do realize this introduction has a lot more in it than it should. So we're actually trying to pare that down in the next year or so. So, but it's all good stuff. It's just a matter of how long do you spend on each thing? And I don't want it to be like, click, here's this slide, got to tell this. Click, here's this slide, got to tell this. You know, it's more we want the flow to just keep going. Like you did for the quote. You know, you put up the quote, but you didn't have us read it all the way through. But the cool thing about that is we all want to read it because you're like, wait, why'd she only have us read the blue? I want to read the black. What's she saying? What's going on? So I think it was great. And I loved your analogies too about talking about, you know, if I walked in here and said like, oh, you guys all suck. Like, I think that's a really good analogy because it is contagious and it does make us feel like, oh, she's already not valuing us. And then think about as a coach, what if I walked onto the field and said, hey, you guys are all a bunch of losers. You know, I'm going to teach you how to be tough. I'm going to teach you how to be winners. Is that going to really be the best way to get kids to want to be coached by you? Probably not. So I thought that was a really good analogy. So the next part, when you do, so the next one I would love to have you do is your final demo. And the reason I want to have you do this is because when you do a demo of the principle section, that's where it's the how. This is how we're going to do it. So this is an opportunity. Each section is set up in this is kind of the theory behind it. Like if you do filling the emotional tank, this is why we do filling the emotional tank. This is the tool itself. So you can kind of bring it to reality for the coaches. Like, why is this so important? Why do you need to do this? What are the effects of not filling a kid's emotional tank or whatever it is? And then the last part is a scenario that'll bring it home. It'll make it real for them. Connect it to what you're doing. Think about the athlete you have now. How can you work this in with the tools that we're going to share and practice them? And, you know, so the principles are a little bit different than just the intro where you're just giving information. Because to make it stick, you want the coaches to see a need for it and then make it real to them. And then you're going to come in with all the wonderful answers for them. Well, here's tools. Here's exactly how you're going to do it.
Awesome.
So it's a little bit different format. So I'd love to see you do that. Pick whichever one you want, Emotional Tank, Elm Tree of Mastery, or Honoring the Game, whichever one. And about 20 minutes is usually the time.
Okay. So choose a tool. And then Kelly, do I email you when I want to do that one?
Yep.
Okay.
You do.
Perfect. I will look at my calendar now, else I'll start doing something else and forget all about it.
Okay. No, that sounds great. Yeah. Shoot me an email anytime. And, you know, next time, Lauren Herring is someone else that's also going to be working with South Florida, Miami. So we'll hopefully get her on too. And it's great. Christy, I really like the way you joined. It's really nice for the people that are going to be selling workshops there to know who you are instead of just saying, well, we have this girl named RaShauna. We don't really know her, but so now she knows your style.
About my workshop abilities. That's what I like to hear.
Exactly. It's all good. It's all good.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.
Yep. You too.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, RaShauna. Thanks, Christy. Thank you, Kelly.
Bye.
Thank you, RaShauna. Thanks.